The worst case scenario, gentlemen, is never as bad as what our mind tells us that it is. As Seneca once said, we suffer more in imagination than we do in reality. You're thinking of applying to a job that you feel underqualified for. You're thinking of moving to a different city, or maybe even a different country altogether. And you think, you know what, I'm not prepared for this step. You see a very beautiful girl standing outside a cafe, and you tell yourself, I'm going to approach her right now, and I'm going to say that she looks very beautiful, and I'll probably screw it up, maybe stutter or something, and she's going to look at me very awkwardly, and she's going to tell me to F off. And so you don't try. And that is where the tragedy is. It's in not trying. Gentlemen, failing in my books is when you never try, not when you try and mess it up. Right? Failing, unfortunately, has been interpreted to be doing something and messing up. No, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to do it and mess up, because that's the only way to get better. There is no skipping the process and getting straight to the outcome. You need to fail forwards, as they say. But making a mistake, stuttering when you're doing a presentation, making a YouTube video and messing it up in the first few minutes, that's okay. That's the only way for you to improve at that particular skill. It's by doing it again and again and again. You have to be bad before you're good, and good before you're great. But a lot of us want to skip to the great part. We don't want to look bad. You know, I said it before on a video that I made. A lot of people are afraid of being seen starting at the bottom. They don't want to be seen having to build something. They want to be seen right at the destination, standing there with their arms out, victorious. They want to get all the praise and the applause, but they don't want to be seen having to build something, because in reality, the reason why they don't is because they're afraid of looking bad. But when you tell yourself, you know what, I'm going to embrace failure, I'm going to make failure my best friend, you will become enormously successful. You will. Because you need failure to become successful. They go hand in hand. Two sides of the same coin. You can't get success without failure. You can't. And a lot of us want to tiptoe around failure and get to success. That's not how it works. Why do you go to the gym? You go to the gym and you put your muscles under a lot of physical stress, and in a lot of cases until your muscles experience failure. Why? Why would you do that? Because you know that in doing so, your muscles are going to rebuild bigger and stronger. So why not apply that same mindset to other disciplines in your life, such as public speaking, such as selling clothes on an e-commerce store? Why not allow yourself to learn, not to fail, to learn? Because the word fail or failure still has a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths. But I love failing because I get feedback. When I fail at something, I like to study why it didn't work out. So I look at the data and I say to myself, okay, well, I failed here because X, Y, Z. Sometimes the information takes a while to receive, but I like studying what works and what doesn't work so that I can improve. So then success becomes a whole lot sweeter because I wasn't always good. If you got everything you ever wanted on the first attempt, you wouldn't appreciate it. You really wouldn't. You really wouldn't. And even Robert Greene talks about in Mastery, in his book Mastery, he talks about success. And he says, a very famous quote of his, he says, "Be wary of success at the first attempt." And the reason why he says that is because when you win the first time you ever do something, you don't really learn. You don't know why you won. Yes, you got a good result, and by all means, well done. But it's also a little bit scary because you don't know what you did to get there. It could have just been right place at the right time, a good set of events, which, by the way, I'm not against. You know, some people say, "Oh, you got lucky." I don't like that negative saying, "Oh, you just got lucky." You know, sometimes being at the right place at the right time takes some ingenuity, and it takes someone who's proactive to position himself. It's like strikers in football, right? Or soccer, as you American folks call it. A striker who bangs in tap-ins, right? A little header or a little tap-in with his foot. A lot of these strikers are often seen as lucky. Oh, they're so slimy, man. They always get the easiest goals. Being able to be in a position to tap in is or requires skill. It does. You know, Ronaldo's very good at this. Cristiano Ronaldo, right? A lot of his goals are tap-ins, right? Side of the foot from 2 feet away. Some people use that against him and they say, "Oh, he scored hundreds of those tap-ins." I would argue that he's probably one of the best understanders, if that's even a word. He's probably one of the best players in history at being able to position himself in areas of the pitch that allow him to benefit, you know, and score goals. His positioning is world class. It really is. You know, if a defender can't find where he is and he's right in front of goal and he's able to tap in, I mean, it takes a lot of skill to do that, to maneuver around, to deceive defenders, to get yourself in a position where no one's marking you so that you can tap it in. So the point I'm making here, gents, is that sometimes being at the right place at the right time is something that you should give yourself credit for. You shouldn't feel guilty for being lucky. However, what I would say is that there are occasions where things go right unexpectedly out of the blue, and we don't really know why. And that is quite dangerous, because are you able to do that again, a second time and a third time and a fourth time? There are a lot of people that have got fluke wins. They forgot about an investment they made in a crypto. You know, they had a 10K month once on their e-commerce business, but never did it again. So you can, you know, experience a positive set of events, but being, you know, getting a home run from your first attempt is something that you need to be careful of. But failure is something we need to approach differently. And as I said, redefine what it really means. Failure is not making a mistake. Failure in my books is never trying. To go your whole life sat on the sidelines watching other people do really well, but never having the courage to say, "You know what, I'm going to warm up and I'm going to get on the pitch. It's my time to shine." So you live your whole life watching other people. And what happens is, and I've said this plenty of times, is that you start to resent yourself for having never tried. But that is projected as hate towards other people. So when people tell me, "Ali, you know, what do you say to haters who leave nasty comments on your YouTube or your TikTok or whatever?" I always tell them, listen, I have a lot of sympathy for these people because they're not really mad at me. They're mad at themselves for having never done something, perhaps what I do, is I remind them of the things they didn't do. Or they want to do something similar to what I'm doing, and they see me and it rubs them off the wrong way because they feel like that should be them. But they project that as hate towards me. But I don't take it as hate towards me, because you can't really hate someone you don't know, right? Hate is a strong word. So when someone says, I hate this guy, influencer, whatever, yeah, I'm always like, do you though? You don't know him on a personal level to really hate him. You may dislike something he said, but a lot of the times haters are just mad because they didn't do something and they see someone else online doing the thing that they want to do, and they take out their frustrations on that person, right? That's what will happen if you do not warm up and get on the pitch. You got to look bad in the beginning. You got to give yourself the permission to go out there and look a little bit stupid, make some mistakes. You have to do that. In order to achieve greatness, you must risk looking like a fool. Right? You must. Every expert was once a beginner. Everyone that you look up to. Actors, football players, business owners, at some point they all started at a level and their performance wasn't great. They matured into the level that you see them at right now through sheer action. So look, if you want to get really good at something very quickly, then fail as quickly as you can. That's the best and fastest way to get really good at something, is to fail at it as quickly as possible. Cold calling is a perfect example for those of you that are in sales and are maybe contemplating getting in sales. The best way to become an excellent communicator on the phone is to do as many cold calls as you possibly can, as quickly as you can. 1 cold call a week ain't gonna cut it. 5, 10 a week ain't gonna cut it. But if you do 50 to 100 a day, well then in 2-3 weeks you're gonna get really good. Right? Or at least a lot better than the person next to you that's only doing 5 or 10 a week. So speed is everything. Speed is of the essence. Move as quickly as you possibly can. When I start something now for the very first time, I'm excited to fail. I really am. Because I like knowing that I'm improving at something. So if 90 days ago I sucked at something and now I'm a lot better, man, that's a beautiful feeling. Right? It's a great feeling. So I'm looking forward to that feeling again. I'm trying to find it in different disciplines, whether it's learning an instrument, right? I'm looking to learn the piano very soon. I'm sure I'm going to suck horribly at playing the piano. But I'm also looking forward to 3 months, 6 months, a year from now, when I'm a little bit better at playing the piano than I was at the very beginning. And then 2 years from that, 3 years from that, right? So I look forward to the process of improving my skill sets. I don't see me pressing the wrong key as a failure. No. It's a lesson. It's a learning experience. Change failure in the way that you normally see it as a learning experience. It's not you losing, because you haven't lost anything unless you quit. And this is why I said, if you never try, or if you quit, then you're a true failure, right? But if you learn from that mistake and you go for it again, then you're not a failure. You're someone who is eager to learn, eager to get better. All right. Thanks very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a like, comment, let me know what you think down below, and I'll catch you in the next one.